Hello, I wanted to talk about paying quiet attention. So what does that mean? It simply means just being in the present moment, whether that's reconnecting with our dogs or performing an activity in the present moment and all of those steps that it takes to perform that activity. And I wanted to talk about two specific activities that we can perform and take time to be in the present moment and enjoy performing those activities for our dogs. And the first one is making bone broth for our dogs. And bone broth is a really nourishing liquid that's basically made from cooking bones in liquid for a number of hours, from 8 to 12 hours. And I did this in a slow cooker. And what it does, it actually leaches all of the nutrients out of the bones, and it also means that what's in that broth is also very good for gastrointestinal health for our dogs, and also providing factors that help our dogs' mobility with respect to their joints and things like that, because it's providing nutrients in those ways for our dogs. So the first piece of footage I want to show you is just how easy it is to make bone broth for our dogs. Now here you can see these are beef bones made for soup, but I'm actually using a whole organic chicken. And so what I'm doing is I'm just making up some vegetables. This is all I had on hand before I was doing the shopping. A couple of cloves of garlic, which I will remove after cooking the bone broth, and just some vegetables and some fresh herbs there. Now I'm taking the skin off, and this is really easy by just peeling it off, but making that initial incision down the middle there, and then just placing that into the slow cooker. Now all of these steps, this is designed to actually help us just to slow down and enjoy being in the moment, enjoy preparing something rather than thinking, I've just got to get this done and then that's it, move on to the next thing. And everybody's hurrying to do the next thing rather than actually enjoy being in the present moment. And it's really easy just filling it up with some water to cover the chicken there, and I'm putting it on low for the time being, and then I actually decided I was going to go back and put it on high. So I actually let that cook for around about 8 to 12 hours, and then what you can see at the end of that cooking time is a lovely broth. And here I've taken out the meat, and you can see that's just some fat on top that I have strained off. And here I've just prepared some bone broth containers, and what I'm doing is I'm actually taking care to remove all of the bones, particularly the small bones that are cooked within that chicken, and that then is frozen there. As you can see, I've got some of the beef bones that you can see there, but also I've also got some chicken livers frozen in the freezer there. So bone broth is a wonderful activity that you can do, and it's really great because, as you can see, those pieces of chicken are great to either use for a portion of food puzzle toys for the dogs, or you can actually use it for your own human meals and use them in the way that you'd like to use them. The other footage that I wanted to show you is how to make some wheatgrass from some seeds. And I bought some seeds, and this is day one, and I'm just covering the seeds with water. And this is a really lovely thing because making wheatgrass is a wonderful thing because we can actually eat it ourselves. And of course, most importantly, it's a prebiotic source for our dogs, which helps again with gastrointestinal health. And so this is a really lovely activity. And as you can see, just rinsing these, and then I'm going to spread them on a suitable container. Now, I chose a nice heavy container, which is a terracotta base, so it's nice and heavy, and I just wet a towel in filtered water and place it over the top, and that's going to keep the seeds nice and moist until they start to germinate. And then that took around about 24 to 36 hours, and made sure that I covered the edges there because they can dry out around the sides there. So here we are, day 3, and they're starting to germinate. This is really nice. And this process just takes a little bit of activity every day of soaking the seeds with water and then draining that off, because it's really important that we remove the water so we don't get any mould or anything at the bottom. And that's really important to drain out the water. But this is what we're left with on day 4, and now it's time to put them in a sunny place and just tend to them for the next week or so until they finish growing, and placing them in a well-lit area, not in direct sunlight, and just rinsing those seeds before placing them out there in the sunlight. And as you can see, day 6, we've got some lovely shoots, and just watering these down with a spray gun, but it's more effective to just take the lid off and just shake the water over the top there to moisten them down. And as you can see, day 8, this is really lovely. We've got some lovely growth from this beautiful wheatgrass. And, well, I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of the footage. So you can see even Brucer enjoys some wheatgrass. And so it's really lovely when we're doing activities like this that bring us into the present moment, because it reconnects us not just with our dogs, but with the activity that we're performing. And that means that we're not looking to jump ahead and get it finished so we can move on and do something else. It also means that when we're enjoying being in the present moment, we're not taking for granted things that we took for granted previously. And the main thing is that we're not taking another living species, like our dogs, for granted. And so when we start changing the way that we think and the way that we feel about doing things, then that also means that it extends into other areas of our life, and then we find ourselves making excuses to friends or family to say, we're going to stay home with our dogs this weekend because that's what we want to do. And so what we then do is we build on empathy and compassion for another living species, but not just our dogs. It also opens the gateway for humans to then feel empathy and compassion for other living species, simply by paying quiet attention to the moment and getting enjoyment out of a simple activity like making bone broth or making wheatgrass for our dogs and our cats. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll talk again soon.